G'day people, my name is the Welsh Assassin. You may know me as Josh. This video will be me concentrating on imagining my game. As you can tell, the forest is up on the screen at the moment. This is what the Liminal Space project at college was heading towards, making a game or making something through your imagination that involves liminal space in one way, shape or form, in one way or another. And I thought I'd set out an example of what my game would include, and the forest was the best representation of that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So for my game, I think of a basic survival horror, but not any ordinary survival horror. A survival horror where twisted cannibal or monsters hunt you down for being in their territory, with very few food supplies and very few health regeneration supplies. Summed up story of the forest. The survival horror known as the forest is a great foundation. I am not only a fan of the game, but I have several of triple digit of hours worth put into playing this game, learning new things I have never noticed before and doing the same old thing, that is surviving. In the forest you crash land on an unknown deserted island full of ancient cannibals and mutants. At the beginning of the game your son gets taken away from you, and it is your goal to find Timmy. Traversing hills, water, forests, snow and caves, collecting weapons, food, equipment and herbs along your travels. Once you have traversed a wide number of different caves, you finally find that one cave that ends up heading into an abandoned laboratory. You find out that this company named Sahara, where they used the cannibals to make the many mutants you fight. You find out the company were making mutants using an artifact embedded into the island. Before long, you find your son Timmy and try to revive him using the artifact, but realizing you need another host, but a live one, to revive him. So you set out further to find that had taken your son Timmy, dead on the floor. Once you enter the room next to him, you have a boss fight with his daughter, whom changes into a mass mutant. Once you have killed her, you take the body back to the artifact, hoping to revive Timmy, but his artifact requires a living host. You weep and weep, but head to the top of the mountain that holds the head office. Once you enter, you have two options: save Timmy or let Timmy die. If you decide to let Timmy die, then you will receive a new artifact. Once delving deeper into the mountain to find that artifact, it can turn the cannibals passive or extremely aggressive. From then on, you spend the rest of your days on the island. However, if you decide to save Timmy, you send a huge EMP pulse that takes down another plane. You then collect the live host and save Timmy, but not knowing that he is also a mutant, but not as bad as the daughter you killed prior. That was the summed up story of the forest. Now, we are getting on to the part where I'm slowly putting pieces together to make my own video game. This is Desolation of Our Souls. This is the official title that I will be calling my game. The games that I want to target on the platforms will be Steam, PlayStation and the App Store. Obviously, having to go through certain levels to get to a PlayStation and the App Store, I'd gladly throw it on Steam for cheap if not free. My target age of players is a 15 to 30, as what I am doing is a card based game, such as the Witcher game Gwent, Skystones from Skylanders, and a generic tabletop card game. My proposed shipping date is obviously to be decided, such as the MVP and grey box prototypes, but the genre is fantasy, action, adventure, role-playing and strategy. The interaction modes are single player and multiplayer. This is the current logo. Obviously I will be changing it as time goes along, and I will keep you all notified upon this. Right here is some part of dialogue. I will be the narrator for my own card game. I will be the narrator as you play, give you tutorials, etc. If you care to read, please pause the video and give a quick read. So, this part was my first official draft of putting pieces together until I changed it further down the line. So, my game would be a human versus nature / supernatural. One question was, how will the player overcome challenges? By playing cards from swordsmen, archers, catapult, mages, and then magic and environmental cards. Progression and rewards. How do the player's abilities or achievements improve as the game progresses? Every level there will be events that cause you to play cards against the enemy. After defeating the enemy, you get a random card from their deck and transform it into your own using the light. After every boss battle you get that card for free, but some boss cards have a number of usages. If it is used to its limit, the card will be turned against you in the next battle you take place in. If fail to kill the boss card before it flees, it will be the last time you ever see the card, but if killed in time, the boss card will forever be yours. How does the gameplay link to the story? Are there puzzles, collectibles that grant access to new areas when solved or used? Are there any level objects that stop the player progressing, like bosses or more difficult changes? The gameplay are level / encounters that lead directly into the story, unless fighting a random enemy. There will be no puzzles involved. During a random battle across the game, the enemy you had defeated will drop one of 3 objects: 1 a key, 2 a light crystal, and 3 a bounty card. Each level, location, encounter and boss will have their set difficulty and progression blockers that require you to find and kill random enemies to collect the collectibles they can drop. So, a key. A key can be used to open chests, secret gates or doors. Sometimes you can find a corrupted gate that can lead to a powerful boss battle, for a chance to claim a unique boss card. Light crystal. A crystal is what you grant the gatekeeper to access the next area of the game or map. The further you travel, the more crystals you must have or collected. Bounty cards are found after defeating a unique enemy or finding unique cards or loot. These cards grant you a handsome number of resources and upgrades if you found and killed the target. What are the level objectives for each level and the game's goal? How will we know that the player has won / completed the game? The main objective of each level is to fight the gatekeeper's deck, then to fight the boss that lays ahead of the gatekeeper. However, each gatekeeper has a level cap you must reach before fighting. The goal of the entire game is to traverse biomes, cities, towns, mountains and landmarks to eventually find and kill the Dark Lord Glyphkin, who can be collected as a card. The only way to win and finish the game is to kill the boss Glyphkin. If the player wishes to complete the entire environment and trophy collect, then the player must collect Glyphkin as a card, which sounds easy but proves to be challenging. The player must collect 5 of each different type of crystals to collect him. You do not need to have a crystal in your inventory, you must have founded them. So here are the many different crystals you can find. So we here have light crystals. They are common. The most common crystal out of all crystals is the light crystal. It lives in all living beings, from men to orcs and monsters. Can be found once killed an enemy after a card battle. Water crystal. Uncommon. A water crystal can be found killing enemies that are close to water or in the rain. These crystals are usually dropped during the rain. Dark crystal. Rare. Dark crystals are light crystals, clearly manipulated by the darkness of Gwishkin. Dark crystals can be found after killing rare wildlife or bosses. Wireless crystal. Epic. The wireless crystal are hidden crystals that are dotted around the entire environment. The traders know where to find them, but they are heavily guarded by Gwishkin's forces. Fire crystal. Legendary. Fire crystals can be found during a volcano, storm, or found at the volcano biome by killing enemies or looking around the environment. Evil crystal. Exotic. Evil crystals are found simply from killing any enemy that has any relation to Gwishkin himself. This crystal will drop randomly across the game, but the percentage is extremely low. Pure crystal. Unique. Pure crystals can be found after killing unique enemies or bosses, or finding them in hidden locations heavily guarded. So now we move on to some cards. My original perception and idea of making a game was to be stuck in a world that was mixed with the card game Gwent from The Witcher and being in the world of Final Fantasy. Smash them both together, and that was what my perception was. I had decided to change my perception and go down the actual card game route. I have 4 categories of cards, and here's category 1. The male cards. Warrior. Elixir cost is 5. The warrior is a basic foot soldier, wielding a sword and shield with heavy armor. The warrior is very skilled in melee combat, but is also slow due to the armor he carries. The facial expression is determined and fearsome with hidden white eyes, showing preparation for combat. Assassin. Elixir cost is 4. The assassin is a very skilled individual, better off alone than in groups. The assassin shows his combat ability through stealth and desperation, proving any foe who is the deadliest unit on the battlefield, acting very mysterious with a large hood covering the upper part of their face, with hidden weapons at their disposal. No facial expressions is shown, just a small glimpse of the lower face to show the hidden purpose. The archer. Elixir cost is 3. The archer loves to hide with the branches of woodlands, to mask their movement, with a small hood or small amount of coverage and simple armor for simple combat. Their facial expressions are a simple smirk with precision shown in their eyes. The mage. Elixir cost is 6. Mages show their strength on the battlefield from using their staffs and spells to heal their own side or deal environment and overtime damage to the opposition. Each cast of a spell, his long drapes flow like silk with a small and thin hood that barely moves with the mage's environment. The facial expression is a soft scrunch of the face. The orc slave. Elixir cost is 2. The orc slaves are the weaker sex of the orc race. The female orcs are the stronger unit. The orc slaves are a pale green with a simple dagger for their own self-defense. Their demeanor is a pitiful sight, also shown in the facial expression, as they show they are true cowards, wearing a simple liminal cloth across their groin down to their knees. King. Elixir cost 8. The king is the mightiest man in his kingdom. He looks smug with his glorious clothing of purity. The king has connection with all of his fellow residents within his kingdom, giving all his kingdom members a huge morale boost, making them more effective and stronger. Vampire Master. Elixir cost 7. The Vampire Master controls all mystic creatures and gives them a higher chance of survival during a daylight setting. Dark and droopy cloak with normal black and silk clothing with a hissing facial expression. Blood Summoner. Elixir cost 10. The Blood Summoner can revive a fallen member on his battlefield by the half of the original card's cost. The revived member gains extra strength all the way till the Blood Summoner's death. The Blood Summoner is in a multi-layered slim outfit with a small staff and a facial expression of pure tranquility. Ballista. Elixir cost 9. A ballista is a multi-cannon that fires spears at great lengths. Maniac. Elixir cost 1. A maniac is a simple man with a crazy all-around look. A wooden club is all he holds with a bent and twisted body that always smiles. Female cards. Witch. Elixir cost 3. The Witch is a serious and suspenseful character. She is trying to hide her emotions to unleash them in one fell swoop of power. She curses the enemy that are weaker than her, dealing damage to them. The Witch is a venomous vibe with clothing drooping across the floor as she walks with a crown of sorrow. Vampire. Elixir cost 8. The vampire has a very seductive look. The facial expressions indicate lust and danger within her smile. Her clothing is dark and broad, showing a lot of skin to seduce her meal. Mugger. Elixir cost 1. The Mugger is simple. She will have a hooded and slim stance, being very agile but very weak as she steals more and more because her movement slows down. Orc Axe Thrower. Elixir cost 7. The Orc Axe Thrower is the more powerful sex in the Orc Kingdom, more brutal and fearsome on approach, showing great strength and agility in her face. Her clothing is a simple cloth piece across the chest with multiple layers at the bottom. Underground Fighter. Elixir cost 2. The Underground Fighter is a very quick and skilled fighter, with her face showing how serious she is to fight. Her clothing is a simple hood with the thin, baggy clothing. Queenslayer. Elixir cost 9. Queenslayer shows determination within her stance and facial expression. A long spear with thin armour and a long cloak. The Queenslayer is a character that is meant to hunt and kill queens and monsters for sport. This makes the Queenslayer very efficient in killing and also making her a well-rounded, respected unit when surrounded by monsters, as they are known of the death that follows behind her. Queen. Elixir cost 6. The Queen bends everything she knows to her will. She can choose anyone on the battlefield who she wishes to protect from any damage until she is slain. The Queen will look like a typical queen. Horse Rider. Elixir cost 5. The Horse Rider is a simple sword and thin normal armour that deflects most horse damage, but not all. The Horse Rider is at a full speed, moving twice as fast as anyone else. Valkyries. Elixir cost 4. The Valkyries are strong women holding double-ended axes ready to swing them, taking out multiple enemies who stand before them. Valkyries stand at a 6 foot tall with orange hair and thin clothing, making their body tight to show off their muscles. Mistress of Death. Elixir cost 10. The Mistress of Death is the human sorceress in the Orc Kingdom. The Mistress of Death can revive any fallen character and make them as strong as the strongest friend or foe on the battlefield. Every summon, the Mistress of Death does 2 Orc slaves are by her side to protect her at all costs. She is wearing ripped clothes in black dye to show she is darkness but is loyal to the Orcs. Monsters. Brute. Elixir cost 5. The Brute is a monster of pure strength, always ready for attack, with his size being a huge problem for the foes who stand below it. The Brute is a proud monster, always smiling, showing his teeth for danger. Werewolf. Elixir cost 4. The werewolf is a quick and dangerous monster, size of a normal man, but runs the twice their speed, and angry no matter the cost, standing and howling at all it sees or hears in the dark, standing tall and proud, snarling at anything. Goblin, elixir cost 1. The goblin is a small and crooked creature, preying on the young of species and dwelling in caverns and caves in the mountain. Being a quite timid thing, but always shows the opposition its dangerous and fearsome smile with a simple rag over its entire body. The Night Rider, elixir cost 6. The Night Striders are pure black horse riders, once man turned into a void on horseback, striking fear and evil into anyone or anything it passes by, wearing pure black armour and a black cloak with no face. River Troll, elixir cost 3. The River Troll only stands to 5 feet, but hunchback and dangerous, the River Troll is quick and agile, elixir cost 10. The hunter is a monster of past, present and future. Every monster and being fear the hunter as it hunts its prey in the most gruesome way, standing taller than the average man with a small jaw and long razor-sharp claws. Mountain Troll, elixir cost 8. The Mountain Troll is bigger than his cousin, the River Troll, and rivals the brute in size and strength. A stumped face with no skin, scaring even night riders. Ravager, elixir cost 2. The Ravager is a dog-like creature, long snout with teeth the size of hunting knives, and a roar that screams and screeches like chalk. Giant Snake, elixir cost 9. The giant snake slides everywhere it can go, creeping up slowly and taking its time to kill. The sheer size of the snake can crush an adult brute. Giant Tarantula, elixir cost 7. The giant tarantula weaves its webs as thick as ash to sense its prey, only laying deep in the caverns of mountains, coming out to hunt its favourite food in humans and orcs. Environment cards. We have woodland, desert, plains, flower fields, dark woodlands, mountains and swamp. All of these cards will cost a max of 3 elixir. Thank you much for tuning in. This has been the Welsh Assassin. Until next time, bye bye.